Do you want to turn your back bar into a profit center? Hey, I'm Kayla, and I am your host of the Profitable Salon Owner podcast. And hanging out with me today is the beautiful Alicia Soulier. Is that how you say your last name?
Soulier.
Soulier?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Oh my goodness, it's so funny. I know that I knew it was wrong, and I meant to ask you before we even got started. Be like, hey, tell me how to completely pronounce your last name. Where does it come from? Where does it originate?
Well, it's my husband's last name, so
okay.
Don't worry. I even butchered it for the first couple years of being married.
That's good.
But yes, it actually means shoe in French. So
it means what?
Shoe.
Shoe. Wow, that's so cool. So your husband's French then?
Yes.
Nice. That's so funny. So are you used to people getting it wrong?
Oh yeah. I think it's just whenever you see that, the French where it's like Soulier, it's weird to kind of pronounce it. So I think people usually stop at the soul.
Yeah, soul. Alicia Soul. That's also good. Soulier, right? Soulier. Yes. All right. Well, now I know. Now I have to have it right for future. Anyway, if you're hanging out with us today, Alicia Soulier is the CEO and founder of Salon Scale. So if you know anything about that, you'll know that she has a badass person, just built a huge business around measuring. Alicia, actually, I'll let you tell. So talk to me a little bit about you were a salon owner. So tell me about you went salon owner, and then why did you start Salon Scale?
Yeah. So that was my journey. I was a salon owner, probably likely closer to 8 to 9 years into owning a salon. And, this is the kind of moment when you're starting to realize, why am I not making money? And so to everybody else, the business looked good. But to me, the bank account really didn't look the same. And so I started kind of being the entrepreneur and started to dive into areas of the business, which landed me into the back bar.
Wow.
What I realized is that we had this almost black hole, this area where there was nothing there. And it kind of really looked almost like an open bar, essentially. It looked like an open bar and everyone's free pouring their hair color like alcohol. And I had this kind of moment where I just thought, well, all we need is a machine. We need something that's going to be able to mix our color for us. That kind of stemmed to the conversation, which was, there's no way that's going to scale because you can't make a machine to put in every business and every brand and everything else. And as soon as I said the word scale, I was like, holy shit, it's the scale. So that was about 5 years ago. And I essentially just seen it already existing in other businesses, whether you're getting frozen yogurt, you're getting weighed out for what you're putting in the bowl. I just kind of mastered the art of watching everybody else and then applying it into our own industry. And then the birth of Salon Scale came right after that.
That's so cool. Yeah, 5 years, man. That's wild. Can you believe that how far you've come from the birth of the idea to now today, just how far you've come with it? Can you just believe how much it's grown?
Oh, gosh. Well, I truly think this is built by the industry for the industry. So I'm just so happen to be, running the ship. But it takes a community, it takes an ecosystem to build something like this, to innovate it to the next generation. So we can really truly help millions and millions of salon owners that are struggling together. So we got here because we have a lot of amazing people in the community that are constantly helping us keep innovating things here at Salon Scale.
Yeah. I love that. So if you're hanging out with us today and you're just like, wait, what? A profitable back bar? Like literally making profit strictly from your back bar specifically. So if you're like, can't even fathom that, or maybe you use Salon Scale or something similar and you have an idea of it, we're going to talk today about how to just really get into the nitty gritty of your back bar and how to make it become profitable. Jason, our owner of High Performance Salon Academy, and Alicia co-designed a course. So Alicia, tell us a little bit about the course before we kind of dive into it. We're going to be pulling things from that course today to talk about, give you little nuggets to take away today. But you guys co-made a course that basically walks you through how to make a profitable back bar, right?
Yeah. So essentially, what we're doing is we're exposing that cost of good. So essentially, Salon Scale is a cost of good calculator. It tells you exactly what does this bowl cost me. Once we figure that out, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with this number, right? That's the reality is, what are we going to do with this number? And when we look at the actual function or the economics of a salon, there really isn't very many other revenue streams to really go off of. So when it came to the back bar, Jason and Doug and I early on started really talking about, what do we do with this number? And essentially, you only really have 3 options. The first option is you can eat the cost and just get, like, hopefully it's covering and the salon takes the hit, the current method. So we know how well that's working. The second one is to take it from your staff. So you can do service charges or else charge out that way. And we all know that that's probably not very legal and also creates essentially not a very transparent system. It pushes the clients, your staff out of your business versus keeping them in it. And the third one is to actually pass it on to the consumer. So when we look at that and we look at the strongest way to create transparency is expose the cost. And then with this cost, let's pass this on to the consumer. And when we can do that, now it's not something that we hope we covered. We now know it's covered. And this is really the art of the back bar system. We call it the profitable back bar system here with High Performance Salon Academy. And that's exactly what it is. Turn it into a profit center. Instead of looking at all the tubes and the tubs and everything you have back there as an expense, you're looking at it as a way to make money. And it totally will change your perspective very quickly when you adopt this kind of method.
Yeah. Cause like I can imagine people listening, like what did it look like before making a profit center? Like there's so much waste, right? Like you like not only the side of measuring it and getting really concise in what you're using, but also the profit. So talk a little bit about that. Like what is it before you start making it profitable? What does it look like? What are people probably seeing in their salon right now?
Yeah. So I think, the reality is we as an industry have never fully separated our parts from labor. We are assuming and guessing that those products are being paid for. So when it comes to your product consumption, to your services, your parts and your service, what we've done before is we've kind of set up systems, whether they're verbal or whether there's some chart in the back that says you can use so many ounces, so many grams for a service. Yeah. And what we're dealing with right there is not in real time information. So sometimes, you didn't use $10, you used $15. And that $5 is going to compound, right? Because you need to also replenish the $15. And so it essentially becomes a compound on a compound on a compound. And so prior, we were just hoping and praying that things were being covered. You had some pretty good guesses out there. But as soon as that cost of good gets put into any commission line, or we don't build a cash flow to be able to replenish, we're in some deep water. So quite frankly, honestly, Kayla, I think the reality is this method with our tool has completely saved the lives of thousands of salons, because now they're finding that lost profit. Essentially, it's the leak in the business, and a small leak will sink a great ship.
Yeah. Because it's talked about, so before we talk about like the profit of it, so when people start to implement this in their salon, I guess let's talk about the profit, but when they start to implement this, like where do you start to begin? Like what do you start to talk, like how do you look at your back bar and think this is going to bring profit? Like talk to me about the steps that it takes to start to measure out and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is it starts with you. It starts with you and your mindset and gathering enough information so you can take this in, because this is an operating system. This is a new financial model. It's going to be a different way of pricing, and it's going to be a different way of exposing it to your consumer, to your stylist, to your team. So really having a well thought out implementation strategy is really important, especially for our larger base salons. And essentially what it looks like is, we pick the date that we want to go live. We usually run a test for a few weeks where people are just using the mobile app or the tablets at the back bar. They're mixing their colors. They're starting to, test out the system. And then there's a go live date. Once the go live date comes, what that means is now every single time you have a color, whatever the cost was, so if it was $22, you're now going to add that to the bill. So instead of having us, again, without knowing that cost, we're now just going to pass that on. And essentially, this is kind of the system that is working. And then the best part is once you get that kind of rhythm in, like we said, is at the end of the month, instead of looking at your cost of having to buy another $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stock, you now have the cash flow to actually buy $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stock. So as fast as you implement it, you will start to see the cash flow that quickly, because it is simply a new profit center in your business.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about like whether you use Salon Scale or like talk about profitable salon or profitable back bar. What are you starting to earn profit from? Like what exactly is profitable in your back bar?
So essentially with the product itself, you're going to treat it just like retail. So you'll have 100% markup. Some products, you have the range. You can mark it up as much as you'd like. the more you mark it up, the more profit you're likely going to get. But the reality is you have 100% markup on the product. You charge out for exactly what you're using. We see salons adopt incentive to their team, so they'll pay a 10% commission or to their service provider. So that's a win-win for everyone. And then 50% goes back into replenishment, leaving you with 40% of pure profit. So can you imagine every single bowl you're doing, 40% of that is going back into your business of pure profit just because you've adopted this new method. That is exactly what is happening. And now it's a little bit more comforting knowing that, again, the stuff is being paid for and you're truly seeing the profit.
Yeah, because like I remember I used to wear Jamba Juice a long time ago when I was a child. And like you measure out, like when you're making smoothies, you measure out every dose. Like they have spoons that's like they have so many tools to make sure you're measuring exactly what goes into each smoothie because they have like a whole menu. So is that like similar where like why not measure it out so you know exactly what you're using to not only your no waste. Like let's talk about waste for a second because I know that waste is a huge pain point or a huge part of like the back bar and just like from how much you're using in a bottle. So how is it how does using tools to measure out what you're using help with waste?
It's kind of like riding a bike. You get a little bit of muscle memory, so you start to remember those kinds of things. So if you don't measure it, you can't manage it, right? And I think that's basically what happens. I don't think anyone's purposely trying to be back there mixing their color and try to, waste color. No one really does that. But a lot of times we're rushed, right? We're in the back bar, we're rushing, and essentially we're making extra that we should. The way that technology and innovative technology like Salon Scale can help is essentially we're going to track what you used. And then when you go back, if you used our waste feature, it's going to calculate exactly what was wasted. And in that information, it can now reformulate your formula for the next time, help promote you to be a little bit more sustainable in there. And what we want to do is we want to promote mindful mixing. So spin it in a way that's a little bit more positive. I mean, your staff, scraping bowls and try to be a little bit more directed can feel a little overwhelming or a little micromanagey sometimes. For your staff, it's all about promoting mindful mixing, that it's healthier for them, it's healthier for the business and overall the planet by making sure that we are mindfully mixing and making sure that we're not over batching our products.
Nice. I love that so much. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how to share with your staff, how to get them on the same page and talk a little bit more about making your back bar profitable and how to share it with your clients and guests and your staff. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you? With Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you so you can cover your back bar expenses, reduce your color waste, and generate more profit in your salon. Click the link in the description to get 10% off your first year.
We're Phorest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Phorest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Phorest, together we grow.
Sustain Beauty Co. has two of the best tools to help you save water, time, and a bunch of money. Join the clean water salon movement with EcoHead's water-saving shampoo nozzles and scrummy plant-based microfiber towels. Available at sustainbeauty.co.
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
Welcome back to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. I'm hanging out with Alicia Soulier, right? No, Soulier, right? Nice, nailed it. I'm hanging out with Alicia. She is the CEO and founder of Salon Scale. We've been talking about how to make your back bar profitable. Whether you use Salon Scale, whatever you use, just getting more intentional about what you're using, how you're using, measuring it out. And we've been talking about what it looks like to price that up in 100% markup and things like that. But I already know the people listening, like, yeah, but what about my team? What about convincing my team? And it's a new way. It's like changing the way they've been, like they're not necessarily taught this in school. They're taught to just kind of eyeball it, things like that. So how do you start to integrate your team into being on board with changing the way that you're structuring your back bar?
That's a great question. I think that's the number one thing that salon owners that we speak to is the fear. You're operating on a base of fear. So the only thing that's going to cut through your fear is facts. And facts are going to be the way you're going to get through this. So when we look at Salon Scale, essentially what we want to do is we want to give you all the facts you're needing to have to be able to delegate it to your teams properly. And at the end of the day, we also want to build a system. And the way that Jason and Doug and I kind of started the conversation around this is how do we, incentivize our stylist as well so that we can get that buy-in. How do you get that buy-in from your team? So by treating Salon Scale or treating your cost of goods almost like a retail, you're now allowing them to be able to be incentivized by using the product as well. And so with Jason's and really High Performance's profitable back bar system, that method with our tool is really a way to kind of build that incentive with your teams. I will also just say that good things take time. Good things take time. And as a salon owner, this is probably the best thing that you can do. Clear communication to what your business needs for your team is the most important thing to do. And from a CEO to all of you CEOs that are listening to this, it is your job. It is your job to make sure that the business is sustainable, and so that you're not living in this fear of your staff walking out or this or that. Ultimately, these products they need to be paid for, and this is the easiest way where. Easiest, most fairest way where everybody wins, and everybody in the end will also learn what it takes to run a profitable business. So you're also planting the seeds in the next generation. So that's why it's important as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because like what you said earlier, it's like you either eat it, you eat the cost, you take it out of your staff eats it, or you charge the consumer. And, if you spend the time to explain to your team what it is you're doing and why you're making this shift and what it's going to do for the company in terms of like less waste and easier to manage and just help them see the bigger picture of it, it's more likely, to get that buy-in. So they're like, oh yeah, like this is going to benefit not just the salon, but the team and the people, and just like, why not charge the consumer? They're the one getting it in their hair. So it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you look at any company, like you were saying, like you look at frozen yogurt, like people do that. They measure by what you take, what you use, and then they charge you for what you're utilizing. And so it makes sense. Like you're like almost like, oh, man, super logical. So thank you for coming up with a scale that would help us to roll that out, because it makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about customers now. Like, how do you tell them? Is it just become part of your business? Like, let's talk about that. I already know people are like, what do I tell my guests?
Yes. So I think it's pretty much the same way you're already kind of telling them. So generally on your menu, you're going to probably have something that a color starts at $100 plus. There's already a plus button on there. So the plus button is Salon Scale. So essentially you already are kind of saying the same thing. The way that I would probably present it is our salon has now adopted a new innovative technology called Salon Scale. We measure your formulas down to the exact ounce or gram. So we're not going to charge you any more. We're only going to charge you for the exact amount of product we're using on your hair today. And the bonus to you is just like an electronic record of your health. We now have a record of your hair. So no matter who you see, when you come into the salon, we'll always have that record there for you. So presenting it in a way that is of value to the customer is the way to do it. And essentially, this is the kindest, clearest way to be able to present it to them. That is honestly just already kind of what you're doing. It's just presenting it in a different way.
Yeah, to make it be like easier, like they see the value in it for themselves. Like you're paying for exactly what you're using rather than us just making it up in our head or mixing, I can't tell you, you get your hair done, you go, look, I gotta go mix another bowl. And you don't really know what that means or what people are doing. And so just being able to be like, this is how it's benefiting you. You're only paying for what you're getting put on your head, which is really cool. So let's talk about a little bit of people's like pushback or like what mistakes people make. Like where does this start to? Where do people start to get tripped up in the process of making their back bar profitable? Let's speak to some people's little voices. Like where do people start to make mistakes?
Yeah, I think the first thing is passing it off on someone else. So the first thing is we'll have a manager or maybe even someone who's super into tech, a young stylist into tech. And generally those are the ones that are like, here, take this and try to do this thing. Yeah. And so that would be the first red flag to not do. We want to encompass this to realize that this is an actual financial model. This is a big shift for you and your business, and really learning those things together is really important. Yeah. Taking your time to really understand the impact to your business is probably the step one that would would likely have to happen. The second one is just, again, worrying about the team, worrying so much that, at charging more and adding this on, and how do I tell my team? And this is probably the second thing that is the biggest pushback for us, is just getting their team excited about this. So again, really taking time on your implementation process, really figuring out exactly how you're going to communicate it to the team so it's a win-win situation. So you're confident and you're clear and you're committed to what's going to happen. And then speaking about committed, we get people that will start and they buy it and they get there, but they just don't take the action. They don't set that date. It's like saying, I'm going to get married sometime. And
you got the ring where you're just not setting the date.
Set your date and commit to the date. And so that way, and try not to be so impulsive in the sense that's like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get started by next week. Give yourself a quarter to really, find your footing with technology like this. And then, go ahead and rinse and repeat every quarter from there on out. And that's when you want to add on the other features, right? Yeah. Start by measuring first. Start by getting the color paid for. And then, once you're there, then we've got inventory. Then we've got orders. Then we've got so much more features that will help optimize this back bar for you. And that's essentially when we would do that.
And I think it's cool to think about, like, when you decide to start implementing something like this, like, change is difficult for some people. Love change, actually really like change. But like for especially when you're running your business, you have so much to juggle, so much to think about, so many things to prepare for. And change is hard to shift into. Like, what's it going to look like? What is the end result going to look like? But taking that change is like that's how you grow, and that's how you become more profitable, is when you decided to move forward with change. And you also have support system. There's hundreds of people who've done it before you. There's obviously, you buy a program or buy a course, and like people can walk alongside you and support you and be like, hey, this is how we've done it before. Get yourself surrounded by people who know how to use it, have experienced it, and they can show you the success of it. Because Alicia, what's the average amount of profit people can make when they start implementing these services?
So we've seen people profit anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 of pure profit a year just by adopting the method and our tool.
That's crazy. If you are listening, you're like, I could use an extra $30,000 to $75,000 a year. You look for areas in your business to grow and expand. And like Alicia said in the beginning, like there's not so many places in your salon that you're going to be able to add on. You could add on more services. You can add on luxury, memberships. Like, there are things, but you already have a back bar or color bar, or whatever you call it in your salon. You already have that functioning, and it's already wasting. It's already affecting your salon. So might as well get intentional about what is already present in your salon and start to take it and use it for profit, because that's how you're going to continue to grow. So talk about how do people, they're here, they've never heard of it, or maybe they've heard of it and they're not sure. Where would people even start? What's something that people can walk away today? Take back to their salon today. Where would people start?
Yeah, so you can always head to our website, salonscale.com. Nice. But we actually co-created a successful stylist course with Jason himself. So we recorded a series that just goes through exactly kind of what we were talking about, those three kind of pillars in your business: your customers, your staff, and then really the overall function of the business, how you're going to implement Salon Scale. So that right there is a free resource for you to go through and get the information needed to take that action to really involve Salon Scale into your processes.
Nice. Yeah. So if you want that course, we'll link it in the description if you're listening, or if you're on YouTube or wherever you're at hanging out with us today. I'll link the website in there if you want to take a look at it and check it out. It's free, right? Completely free?
Absolutely free. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good place to start, and just to get dip your toes in and understand where it comes from. So before we finish hanging out today, I want to let's recap a little bit of profitable back bar. What encompassing, what is the profit? What is, let's walk through the steps of so people can wrap their mind around how do you make your back bar profitable?
Yeah. So instead of essentially including your cost in your pricing, you're going to back that parts out. What that's going to do is it's a non-negotiable. So essentially, all your products being paid for, you add a margin to that. So you have a markup just like retail, and you have 50% going to replenishment, 10% incentive to the team if you wish, and a 40% profit margin back to you. So instead of looking at that bar like an expense, you're now looking at it as an opportunity to make some profit for you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So thank you so much, Alicia, for hanging out with me today and talking. If you're listening and you're like, man, that sounds really fun, it sounds like too much, just take it slow and just know that like you as a business owner, you want to keep evolving. Like it's 2023 and it's 2023, right? Yeah, it's almost 2024. I never know the year anymore. But like everything's evolving and new technologies coming in, AI is here, there's so much that's going to be pushing up against your business, and people are going to be taking a hold of it, and it's going to get more and more common and more salons. And take it slow and do your research and find support, and just know that it's possible. It's possible for you, for everything in your salon, even if your color bar, your back bar is like even a pain point of like, man, there's so much chaos and waste back there. Like it doesn't have to be that way. It takes a different perspective. It takes looking at it a little bit differently and finding people who have experienced it before, and like the course, like set out a system of like, hey, I will walk you through exactly how to do this. Like Alicia, when people sign up for Salon Scale, like you walk them through a start date and you support them the whole way, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're here to help you, whether you want to go on your own. We have resources, or we have a team to kind of help you through the process itself. But yeah, ultimately, I think in today's age and economy, we can't afford not to. We can't afford not to leave cash on the table. This is going to give you a lot more sleepful nights than sleepless nights, and give you back the ownership that you are, and value the things that you have. And the more that you focus on, again, the value that you have as a business, such as your location, your branding, and the value of what you're bringing, you're going to find a lot more success this way as well. So that is honestly, from one salon owner building an innovative tool like Salon Scale, that is my gift, is to make sure that every single one never has to feel the way that I had, and the way that a lot of people are. So I think that's really what this whole thing is about, is just put it back in your pocket and enjoy the business that you created.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you came from experience. Like you built this because you saw a problem in your own salon and you're just like, how do I solve this problem? And then you're like, oh, I found my solution. Well, let me share it with the salon owners so that they can have the same solution. Yeah. Now, does it matter like what size salon you are? Like, can you where's a good size of salon to start implementing something like this?
Yeah, I think we're size inclusive.
Nice. Fun. Good.
So I think really honestly, anyone that's really ready to kind of reimagine their profitable back bar is really our customer. So we generally work more mid-market. So salons that have 1 to 3 locations is really where we focus on heavily. And then with our sole proprietors too, we have a lot of opportunities for those folks as well. And that just tends to be our sweet spot. Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Well, thanks, Alicia, for hanging out. So if you're listening and you're just like, hopefully got some value out of today. If you did comment value, if you're listening in your car, just yell at the radio. Like we always say, I will hear you say it. But hopefully you found some value out of today in terms of just knowing that there's a possibility for you to make, would you say $30,000 to $75,000 more a year in profit from just taking something that you already exist in your salon and just managing it more intentionally and getting more clear on what that could look like for your salon. So I hope you found value out of that. If you want more resources, there's links in the caption. We'd love to hook you up with the course for free, and you can get more information. I'll put Alicia's website in the description as well if you want to hang out. So thanks, Alicia, for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.